Thank you for having me here, APPA. I'm honored to share my story of healing the mother and daughter wound and helping others in my professional field. I'm going to begin with screen sharing. So I'm going to get that going. There we go. My name's Elise Bowerman. I'm a mom to two amazing kids. I have a 13-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. I'm a pre and postnatal yoga teacher here in Michigan, and I've been teaching since 2009. I want to start with something that one of my students said to me that really has never left my heart. It was a few years ago, and she was coming to prenatal yoga with her second pregnancy. She had participated in her first and returning back with this one. And she was obviously going through a tough time, and we talked after class. And afterwards, she said something that I didn't even know I needed to hear. She said, "You're like a mother to all of us." And that just melted my heart and touched me at such a sensitive cellular level that it really shook my being in such a wonderful way, in such a beneficial way. It has helped me stand in my own strength as a woman and as a mother, and to know what I'm doing and what I've learned is impactful and important. And APPA is part of that story. When I was pregnant here in these pictures with my son, and after he was born earthside, I wondered if I would be a good mom. Do I even know what to do? Will I be able to make the hard decisions that come with parenting? And do I have what it takes to be a patient and fun, loving, and compassionate mom? I want to be a fun mom. Do I have that in me? Can I do that? My own mom and I were like water and oil. Our personalities were really different, and I didn't feel seen, heard, or cared for by her in the way that I needed a mom to show up. And so in my own motherhood journey, I didn't feel grounded or rooted. And in fact, while I was raising my kids and becoming a mom myself, my mom left me and didn't participate in my life for 5 years. She didn't know that I was pregnant with my daughter, or that I even had a daughter, that she had a granddaughter. She had left my life when my son was 6 months old. And I continued living my life and moving forward as a conscious mom as I possibly could. But it was hard. I felt like a rootless plant, just searching for soil, rich soil, nourishing soil to ground myself in, to get the wisdom of my wise mom. Because no matter what, she's my mom, and I want her in my life. And when my kids were 3 and 5, I got a phone call from a hospital in the state that she lived in that she had had a detrimental stroke. The trajectory of her life would forever be shifted, and someone needed to come and help. Well, I didn't know if that person should be me, or if she would even want me to be around. My parents were divorced, and I'm the oldest, and I take on the role of the nurturer and provider. And I didn't know if my mom would want to see me again. Would she even want my help? Would this be a complete disaster if I flew out there and tried to help navigate what the next steps were for her? And I was also afraid that the woman I knew as my mom would never exist again. And to a degree, that's true. But to another degree, she's still in there, and she's still my mom. And the relationship that we have is not unusual for our family lineage. It's definitely inherited, and she didn't want to have much to do with her mom. And I believe that her mom didn't have a great relationship with her mom. So what was taught was an act of avoidance. And my mom was really a great teacher of this, to avoid uncomfortable conversations, to avoid uncomfortable feelings. And this leads and led her to escapism, where she literally left my life as I was stepping into the role of the matriarch for my family. It was very unsettling. And I didn't know how I would move forward. I had two choices. One, continue with the generational cycle, avoid, deny, stay focused on my family and my life. Or to break it, to face her, to do what she was incapable of doing for me. I chose to break the cycle. I did it by showing her unconditional love. I showed up. I helped her understand that she was worthy and that she mattered. And by showing up for her since 2015, letting her know that she's seen, heard, felt, and cared for, our relationship gets better every day. It wasn't easy. There's many tough moments, but the impact that this has led on our lives and for the sake of my daughter and our relationship has been extremely beneficial. And this picture is of the three of us, myself, my daughter, my mom, together in 2022. And at the same time, I worried about the future. While I was healing the relationship with my mom, what about my daughter and my relationship? And the way that she will show up as a parent to her children. And then also for my students, as a prenatal yoga teacher and a postnatal yoga teacher, how am I showing up for them? And what tools and ways am I helping them as new moms and reborn moms to be sensitive to this part of humanity? How could I transcend the basics of prenatal yoga? We do mindful movement, breathing exercises, birth preparation. There's a community that's automatically created of support. All these things, yet there's still something missing on that really subtle level. I researched and looked into so much stuff, and birth psychology, APPPAH, has given me answers and research data to back up of the questions that I get asked. How do you know that? Why is that important? Is it actually true? Dr. Thomas Varney says in his book, Pre-Parenting, Nurturing Your Child from Conception, the first school we ever attend is in our mother's womb. The womb is a classroom. And this is something that is guided in prenatal and postnatal yoga classes. And this is a book that I recommend to all my moms, that the baby-mother experience is as one. Babies hear, see, feel, taste, smell, all inside the womb. They feel mama's experiences. They feel her emotions, and they are as if it were their own. And babies communicate. They physically move with their kicks and wiggles. And they also speak intuitively, silently, from mind to mind, heart to heart. This is an image of us in circle time where there's opportunity before. This is the start of the prenatal yoga practice of meeting, opening up for discussion, sharing, listening to one another, and then an opportunity for me as the teacher to talk about findings and skills and techniques that birth psychology shows us that are super valuable as we create human life. And returning to connection in the practice, The self-touch is seen in this image of hand to heart, hand to baby, talking with baby this way, whether it's verbally or through the mind's eye, intuitively. And most importantly, listening for baby's response, trusting what the mother hears, what the birth giver hears is true. It doesn't need to make logical sense. It doesn't need to make linear sense. The human experience is multidimensional with so many layers. And if we sit and listen, we will hear and know the truth. And of course, gentle, loving touch. This is one of my favorite topics to speak about, of how careful and gentle we often are with the space of the belly, and when we're touching our own body as pregnant people, and then when maybe touching somebody else's or somebody else touching us, it's often very gentle and done with care and almost so light you don't even know someone's touching, right? And can we take the same care and consideration once baby's earthside, to hold, to move, to carry and tend to baby with this gentle, loving touch? Or are we moving baby through agitation with abruptness? And being mindful of those differences, of why is it okay to be so gentle when baby's protected inside the womb? And then why would it be potentially aggressive once baby's earthside? And then also bringing into consideration mindful environment, that what the birth giver is listening to, who they have around, what they're watching, all impacts baby within as they're learning and feeling and sensing mom, that mom's feelings are true, and they're gathering if this world is safe or if it's unsafe. And that's through the mom's feeling of security. So for at least 1 hour a week, when they come to prenatal yoga, the moms feel connected, they feel safe, they feel in touch with themselves and this pregnancy. You're going to hear from one of my students, her name is Sarah, share about the impact that prenatal yoga has had on her and her family's life. It's only about 20 seconds, so here we go.
The second I got pregnant with my daughter, which was my second child, my husband was like, "Are you going to yoga?" He knew that it was my time, and it really gave me the relaxation I needed during my pregnancies, the community that I needed during my pregnancies. I really found the confidence to be a stronger mom.
I also feel like a stronger mom. When I look at these pictures of me with my kids, I have my daughter resting on my shoulder, it reminds me of how much love is in our family, that these pictures are true and authentic, even when posed. The smiles are real. We're enjoying our time together. We love one another. And my children are seen for who they are. They are loved for who they are. And they are cared for who they are. I don't recall seeing pictures like this in my family albums that I grew up looking at. I don't know about you, but when I look back, it's definitely a different dynamic. And I'm really proud and excited for the people that my children are going to become. As I break this family cycle of dysfunction, especially on the female side, where my daughter and I have a very close relationship, and I have a close relationship with my son and my husband, that my kids are going to be even more loving, more available, more in tune with their kids, should they have families of their own. And it's really exciting. And I'm beyond grateful for birth psychology, APPA, for paving the way to explore the sensitive and subtle ways that we can connect that are deeply impactful. Thank you so much for listening to my story. And I encourage everyone to reach out to your community on a more sensitive level, or for your own personal growth, to become a member of APPA. As a member, one of my favorite courses is Seeing Birth from Baby's Perspective. It's an essential program I feel is beneficial for all parents, grandparents, caregivers, perinatal professionals, and the perspective of which I shared today is found in this course too. So be sure to click on or go to these links, birthpsychology.com, or find APPA on Instagram at birth_psychology. And you're always welcome to connect with me at any time with questions or ways to participate in APPA for your own self. Thank you again for having me.